Hello World Wide Web, I'm Dr. Shado, the internet personality with the best hair, and welcome to week 2 of...
The Summer of Sylvester Stallone!
I should do this more often. Now, while Rocky was a super ultra mega smash hit, and Stallone films were suddenly in demand, they weren't really doing all that well, except for other Rocky movies. A big exception to this trend, however, was when the men starred in a film adaptation of the 1972 David Morrell novel First Blood, as the lead character, John Rambo. How successful was this film? Well, for starters, like P.T. Barnum's Elephant Jumbo, it added a term to the English language, going fucking Rambo. The movie is actually thought to not only have been the savior of Sylvester Stallone's acting career, but also when its original running time of over 3 hours was cut to 90 minutes, some feel it is also responsible for that becoming the de facto standard of action movies henceforth. And I have no idea if that original cut is available anywhere. There seems to be no demand for the legendary, extremely long, worse version of this movie. Nevertheless, let's take a look at First Blood and see Sylvester Stallone going fucking Rambo. As Rambo. The movie opens in podunk fucking nowhere. John Rambo has returned to civilian life after serving in Vietnam, and is trying to track down the only other member of his squad to have made it out alive.
Delmar's gone.
What time will he be back?
He died.
So, like, after lunch, or what? What are we looking at here?
Died how?
Cancer. Brought it back from Nam. All that orange stuff that spread it around.
That being Agent Orange, a toxic herbicide used to clear the jungles of Vietnam to make spotting enemies easier in certain situations and other such things. According to the higher-ups, it was completely harmless to humans. According to the 39,000 or so disability claims sent to the Department of Defense from veterans claiming that Agent Orange was responsible for their disability, not so much. So his one last friend is also dead. That's a great start. Thus, Rambo walks his way down into the small fictional city of Hope, Washington, filmed in Hope, Canada. Here we meet Sheriff Teasel, played by prolific actor Brian Dennehy. Spotting the Wanderer, he has some choice words for the man.
You know, wearing that flag on that jacket, looking the way you do, you're asking for trouble around here, friend.
You see, friend, here in Hope, Washington, we hate America and American soldiers. It's a county tradition. For his own sake, the sheriff helps John on his way out of town. Immediately.
You got someplace I can eat around here?
There's a diner about 30 miles up the highway.
Is there any law against me getting something here?
Yeah, me.
It's a $50 fine if I catch anyone in town eating in public. It's 100 of his goddamn Mexican food. When Rambo asks why the sheriff is being so hostile, Teasel responds because they don't want him here, which really doesn't answer that question, but the point is when he drops John off just outside the city limits, the soundtrack kicks in. Therefore, he is definitely up to something. That something being walking back towards Hope, well within view of the police, whom unsurprisingly turn back around to drive him off. Failing this, Teasel resorts to Plan B.
All right, you're under arrest.
The fuck for? Teasel, you're a sheriff, not Judge Dredd.
Get your legs back. Get them back! Hey, try to be nice to some people.
Drive him out of your town, refuse to let him eat, and pull a gun on him, and this is how they repay you. Kids these days.
What do we have here, huh? Why would you be carrying a knife like this?
Merchandising.
Seriously, that knife design was made specifically for this movie. It's awesome and all, but it does lose some realism points for not being a generic design. Is that a good or bad thing? Point is, Teasel books him, citing vagrancy, and carrying a concealed weapon. Of course, in Washington he could have avoided that one by openly carrying said weapon, but never mind that. They have to write up the report, which means...
Your name? Your name!
some good old-fashioned PTSD. It's just like those poor people on Twitter. Which means he clams up. Fortunately, if they can survive long enough, they can just read his dog tags.
Rambo.
A name the novelist got from a variety of apple. It does make me wonder if in an alternate universe they call it going Granny Smith. This part simply establishes that the entire police force is made up of assholes. Because. And they just can't deal with one guy being slightly difficult to process.
At 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, you're going up in front of that judge. And you think we're tough.
I was gonna say a bunch of little whiny bitches, but yeah, sure. Oh well, it's not like they're partaking in police brutality or...
Galt, what the fuck was that?
He probably just lost balance and... Okay, movie, fine. I'm ready to see Rambo go red delicious and kill them. You can start Act 2 now. Which brings us to the police deciding the best thing to do with their troubled and potentially hostile inmate is hold him down and brandish a sharp object in his face. Strangely, this triggers some more, shall we say, unpleasant memories, driving Rambo off the deep end, which the station is not equipped to deal with.
We're police officers. We're not trained to handle this kind of violence.
So should I call this going Gala or Pink Lady? Perhaps this should be called going right out the fucking door before Rambo goes bellic.
You're going to have to buy a new one of these, friend. Only in this country do they let blind people drive.
And that is certainly not the only point in this scene that reminds me of Grand Theft Auto. Though that does mean that I am terrified that Teasel is in fact trying to catch up to Rambo so that the two of them can go bowling. The chase leads into the outskirts, and then down into the wilderness itself, before the terrain becomes a little too rough for either participant's vehicle, but Rambo is far enough along that he can escape into the wilds. Unfortunately, the cops still have a good idea where to look for him, so the hunt isn't over yet. At this point in the movie, it sort of shifts tones into Predator in reverse. You got the small group of individuals hunting Rambo down, but the one man proves to be a very elusive prey, thanks in part to his magical spy knife and its various gadgets, like the compass hidden inside the pommel. Of course, this is about all the technology he has at his disposal, relying instead on the land and whatever Stone Age crap he can muster to counter the pursuer's flying machines. Body count has started. And according to most tallies in the movie, ended. Yeah, the original Rambo movie has a body count of 1. The novel First Blood has quite a few more deaths, but we're not reviewing that. Making like a good MMOGer and quickly looting the corpse, Rambo evades the rest of the hunters and goes reverse Predator on us again, as his knife also has a handy-dandy needle and thread, just in case you happen to need to stitch yourself up while out hiking. Yes, I know the movie predates Predator by about 5 years, but I still find the similarities rather amusing. Now the adrenaline can really start pumping as John Rambo gives up.
Looks like he wants to turn himself in.
It's gonna make for a damn short movie.
I'm warning you, boy, don't make a move. I'll blow your head off.
I didn't do anything!
Okay, it fixes that problem, but it does mean we need some kind of motivation for the cops to try to murder him instead of just arresting him.
Think we hit him. All right, let's get down there.
And we can't forget the fact that they decided to shoot at him immediately instead of going down there first to arrest him and then blowing his brains out at point-blank range. All I've got to work with are that these cops are assholes and morons. It's not the deepest character traits for a movie. But a man is dead, and that's kind of their own fault, but never mind that. Rambo is to blame. Thus they must hunt him down as he's setting up traps a la the Boy Scouts of Syria, so when the cops think they found him and sick the dogs. Animals don't count. Now, the body count is still 1, officially. Big surprise, they got spooked by a stand-in, and after Rambo kills the last dog, which, again, doesn't count, Teasel points out it wasn't a gunshot. So number 1, he's close, and number 2, he's out of ammo.
We're right on top of him. We're gonna form a skirmish line, 50 feet apart. And keep moving. There's no way out of here except through us.
Well, if you put it that way. think was going to happen. Once John stopped doing what they asked him to, they haven't been able to keep the man under control since. But no more killing, so Rambo merely takes the opportunity to explain to Teasel that he could have killed him, but chose not to. Don't push your luck, this is still an R-rated movie. Nothing stopping him.
Let it go. Let it go.
No, we are not doing a Frozen joke. God damn it. Teasel takes this advice and discards it immediately, calling in the state police to continue hunting Rambo down. This also gets the attention of Colonel Troutman, played by Richard Crenna.
I didn't come here to rescue Rambo from you. I came here to rescue you from him.
In the book, I came to kill him. Being the man who trained him, it seemed that I would be very good at that. But it was decided that for the movie, I should be a little less of an unrepentant douchebag. After all, you've got that covered quite well, Teasel.
That's just great.
Troutman works as the wise old man in the situation, relaying the backstory of John Rambo's service in Vietnam, being not only a member of an elite squad, but the best one out there. Unbeatable.
Are you telling me that 200 men against your boy is a no-win situation for us?
You send that many, don't forget one thing.
What?
A good supply of body bags.
And a mop and bucket. Ever seen Viscera cleanup detail? It'll be just like that. Except less sci-fi. Still, the idea that they could defuse a situation without a huge firefight is enough to get Teasel to allow Troutman to try and contact Rambo via the radio, as they suspect he's listening in on the police chatter.
Covey leader calling Raven. Come on, Raven.
Of course, this is made slightly more difficult by Rambo's narcolepsy. Wasn't he wide awake cooking dinner just a minute ago? Or time just flies by when the camera angle changes, as it's now night when Troutman is attempting to make contact.
They're all gone, sir.
And succeeds! You would think Rambo would try and hold out a little longer, but I guess Stallone would jump at an opportunity to speak to Richard Crenna. The conversation covers the fact that Rambo is the last survivor of his squad. Again. And despite his camaraderie with Troutman, the man refuses to surrender himself, sticking to his guns on the fact that he didn't start this fight.
They drew first blood, not me.
Or, to put it another way, they started it! The radio communication allows the police to get a general location for Rambo's position, though, so the weekend warriors move out. Who will find him first? Oh! Well, maybe the kid's a digi-destined or something. This is actually going to be this huge action scene. Or Rambo could just disarm him and run off, but this does more directly reveal his position to the makeshift army, driving him into a mine shaft to hold them off. You know, he didn't hit anybody, but still, being able to keep his aim that level while firing full auto is very impressive, especially considering Rambo never uses his iron sights. Unfortunately, full auto does eat up the ammunition pretty quickly, but that doesn't mean the guys aren't too terrified of him to even think about closing in. Thus, it's Plan B.
I'm giving you just 30 seconds to come on out. Who's got the rocket launcher? I do.
I love it when Plan B is blow shit up. So, loud, confusing, and nobody can find the body. I guess that means that everything went according to plan, right? Or he survived the explosion, found some leftover resources, and is making his way out of the mine via torchlight, braving dangerous terrain and hostile wildlife as he tries to escape. Though I should mention that rats aren't really known for ganging up and attacking humans like that. Oh, in the book it was bats, which makes just as much sense. Teasel and Troutman, though, believe the man dead and are trying to make amends by going on a date. At least that's what it looks like. But Teasel still questions the Colonel's motivations.
I mean, what would you have done with him if he came in? Would you wrap your arms around him, give him a big sloppy kiss? Or would you have blown his brains out?
Why can't we do both? But as Rambo died, they will never know. Except, of course, that Rambo manages to find an exit to the mine undetected. Now all he has to do is lay low for a while.
Drive.
So much for laying low. As luck would have it, this truck is loaded with weapons, so bidding the driver farewell, Rambo moves out. However, it takes all of 5 minutes for word to come back to the station that John is alive and kicking ass. Remember that dead does not add to the body count, so they're still alive. Probably paralyzed from the neck down, but alive. Rather than take the opportunity to drive off as far as he can, Rambo braves gunfire and a barricade to speed back into Hope, Washington. A journey that takes until nightfall, apparently. Driving for so long, he needs to stop for gas. Well, how else would you picture John fucking Rambo doing it? This brings the war back into the town of Hope, as he takes the big fucking gun and sets the station to blow. Yes, that is a 24-hour establishment that did just blow up. But remember, body count of 1, so whoever was in there is probably still alive, only very badly burned. With the crisis at home, Teasel orders all civilians inside and prepares for battle. But that doesn't mean he can't bitch and moan at Troutman first.
When I talked to you earlier this afternoon, you knew he was still alive, didn't you?
What the fuck do you think, he is psychic? No, he didn't actually know he was alive, but no one actually knew he was dead. That was the problem.
Diesel, you and all your men couldn't handle him before. Now, what makes you think you can handle him now?
I've got a speed hack, an aimbot, and infinite health. He doesn't stand a chance. I'm afraid you don't understand, Diesel. Rambo is a god mod character. Damn it! Troutman says he's got a better chance of defusing the situation, as he is the closest thing to family Rambo has, but Teasel doesn't care, instead planning how he's going to take Rambo out, moving up to the roof of the station to find his prey. As Rambo is holding a personal war in a populated area, the streetlights will betray his position. Never mind. But this movie hasn't had quite enough explosions yet, so taking advantage of the local gun shop, Rambo piles ammo, gunpowder, and probably a spare block of dynamite or two, making for a very impressive fireworks display. This also reveals Teasel's position to Rambo, so he ignores that and shoots the fuck out of the building instead, and then he walks in the front door of the station. Gee, that felt relevant. The shootout between our two main guys is as follows. Short. However, Teasel isn't dead. But before Rambo can finish him off, Troutman materializes onto set, trying to talk some sense into the man, who is clearly breaking down at this point.
It's over!
Nothing is over! Nothing! You just don't turn it off!
It's like the goddamn Xbox One Connect! That thing will drive any man into a rampage! His rant goes over how he couldn't return to civilian life, as the general public thinks he's scum for serving his country, and he can't even hold a simple job. This then gets very depressing as he recalls how his one friend died, although it also shows off Stallone's acting chops.
No one help me say, please, I want to go home, I want to go home. He keeps calling my name. I want to go home, Johnny. I want to drive my Chevy. I said, well, what? I can't find your fucking legs.
Okay. How the hell do I make that funny? So our story comes to a close, not by murder-suicide as in the book, or simply suicide as the original cut of the movie did it, but by Rambo actually turning himself in and the chaos finally subsiding. Which is a bit anticlimactic, but test audiences really didn't like the ending where he died, as they've been rooting for him all movie. Also, it is kinda hard to explain the 3 sequels if he dies. But anyway, that was They Started It. That's pretty damn good! I was a bit surprised to find out that the critical reception of this movie was pretty damn negative upon release. Yeah, the plot is weak and the motivations of Teasel next to non-existent, but still the movie as a whole has a lot more going on and is damn entertaining. For starters, the character of John Rambo is deep. While it doesn't go into explicit detail until the final scene, the psychological scars the man has were evident throughout the picture. Stallone really did a good job portraying him both as an undefeatable super soldier and as a broken man at the same time. Not to say he was the only good actor, as Dennehy did make Teasel into a stubborn but mostly believable adversary. The lack of motivations on his part to draw first blood does feel very strange, but the rest of his actions make sense. I know in the book Teasel was a veteran of the Korean War and held animosity towards Rambo, a veteran of a war more people actually knew and cared about for that reason, but this is a review of the movie, so what matters is what is and isn't in the movie. What is a long series of conflicts slowly raising the tension, climbing ever higher until the climax couldn't logically be anything but a massive emotional outburst. What isn't is a lot of the fluff bullshit that bogs down so many movies that really don't need it. There are times in movie history where the public's opinion differed drastically from the critics. Rambo was one of them, and in my opinion, it's for damn good reason. The movie isn't without its flaws, and some of them do bring it down in my opinion, but not nearly enough to warrant 2 or 1, as some rather insane film buffs of the past have decreed. To me, First Blood easily earns a solid 4 trademarked Rambo knives, in stores today, out of 5. Well worth tracking down if you're into action movies that acknowledge that people have feelings, but also realize we paid for explosions. Thank you all for watching, I've been Shado, and remember, when going camping, don't forget to pack your rocket launcher.
Don't look at me, look at the road. That's how accidents happen.